I'm going to chat with y'all while we get people rolling in. It looks like we had some people already in the room before we got started. So thanks for y'all that show up a little bit early. Curious where everybody is calling in from today. We can get this rolling. Awesome. Perfect. Just wanted to thank everybody too that registered for this one, that's attending today. It was one of our best turnouts in terms of immediate registrations. It's something we keep seeing this topic pop up over and over and over again on calls, is getting sales and marketing to actually work together. It's been an ongoing discussion for years. And while I see it on LinkedIn and everything, this is one of the first times I've seen it come up on every single call that I'm in discussing ABM, ABX, whatever you want to call it. So I'm excited to get to share some of those learnings with those sales calls that I've been doing, those customer calls that I've been doing, and chat with y'all about it today. Before we kick off, I'll do a quick intro on my side for those of you who don't know me and just saw an email or saw a LinkedIn post and decided to hop in here. But my name is Isaac Ware. I head up demand gen here at UserGems. I've been here for about 4 years now. We've been running ABM, ABX in a sales aligned motion for about 5 years total. A big piece of my role early on was actually building out these programs tactically, like how do we integrate signals and UserGems and everything into these programs. But about half my time now is actually spent with our customers, with our prospects, helping them stand up their programs. So I've had over 200 meetings with companies ranging from like BCG, Workday, large enterprise down into the SMB. A lot of that stuff still overlaps depending on what your company structure looks like, what your marketing team structure looks like. But we'll dive on in and get chatting ABM, ABX. Drop any questions you have during the call. I'll leave a little bit of time too at the end to answer some of those questions. I might choose to answer some of them during the actual event, but we'll see. Let me get this rolling. Awesome. So just to reiterate again, UserGems has been running a very sales marketing aligned ABM motion for about 5 years now. A big piece of my role is helping people do that and actually execute that at a tactical level. One of the things that I keep seeing over and over and over again is this topic, but more specifically, like how do we either convert our program into a sales aligned ABX program, or how do we start one from scratch? A lot of people have been tasked with the initiative of standing up an ABM program, but they don't really know where to start. And I think a big piece of this too comes from marketers overcomplicating the topic. I think a lot of ABM practitioners pitch a very complex idea of ABM. The theory is simple. The processes are sometimes hard to actually get stood up, but the end result is definitely worth it. For our program at UserGems, we run a ABX program. It's about 37% of our total closed won revenue, and about 10 to 15% of every single account we target converts to a sales accepted opportunity. So for us, this is a massive source of pipeline for us, and it's a huge piece of our go-to-market motion. And this wouldn't be a good presentation if somebody didn't start off with the definition of something. But I really want to just hammer this home of ABM is not just marketing, taking a list of accounts and pushing ads to it. It has to be sales and marketing working together around the same accounts. And we'll even take that a step further and say contacts in a little bit here. But this is one of the main issues with marketing ownership of ABM. And that might be a little bit of an exaggeration there, but I still believe ABM should sit under marketing. But pure marketing ownership of the program without that alignment with sales has become a massive problem. Marketers have convinced themselves that passing an account list to sales is enough. I've seen it 3 or 4 times this week alone in calls with teams wanting to stand up an ABM program that sales is bought into, but their current motion is solely passing an account list over to their sales team. And it just does not work. What we've seen over and over again is marketing, running ads to an account list that sales just has access to. And that is the extent of that relationship a lot of the time. And what we need to be seeing is surrounding the same contacts at the same accounts across all channels. So it can't just be the account lists anymore. You do have to take it a step further. I think it worked 4 or 5 years ago. We saw it work before we incorporated the contact piece, but we also saw a massive dip in pipeline a couple of years ago. And the only way to resolve that, and the lever we found to pull to actually resolve that, is by producing a program that reps actually wanted to work with. And for us, that means reps typically just don't want to work on your program, because if they have been at 3 different companies who have run ABM programs, what they are used to is actually being handed these haystacks, which are the account lists, and being told to find the relevant contacts at these accounts, which is massively problematic. I don't know if any of y'all have ever had to do the work of an SDR, but it's a nightmare job to begin with, without marketing passing you vague lists of accounts. So our program kind of focuses around the premise of like, give them the needles that are usually hidden in the haystack. Start with that for your ABM program. Like, that needs to be your starting point when you're evaluating how to build this program. Getting a little bit into the account selection philosophy. And I'm just reading Jane's comment here. At least it's better than sales team pulling their own list. That is also another form of ABM I see pretty often, is marketing saying that sales wanted to work this list of accounts without any real reason why. So I do appreciate that call out. Sales is also at fault here too. Getting a little bit into our selection philosophy, though, is yes, it has to start with that perfect fit, the persona, the ICP, but we also want to add in this like contact signal threshold at the account level. And to explain that in less buzzword sounding terms, is we need to make sure that there's enough contacts at that account that a rep can reach out to with a reason to reach out to that contact. That is the sole like premise behind our account selection philosophy, is contact first. Use that to select the accounts. And then for one-to-many programs, use a signal that warrants engaging them with a specific message that converts at a higher rate. This will involve talking with your reps about how they are currently prioritizing accounts, prioritizing contacts. A lot of the time, this will be like a competitor takedown on the one-to-many side, but I'll get into some of the details around that in a little bit. But you want sales bought in just because you're not giving them an account list. You're giving them the contacts, the context, and a reason to reach out. So have that chat with your sales team. One of the first conversations I usually recommend for our customers is to chat with your sales team, have your model built out. For a lot of our customers, that's the UserGem built persona ICP scoring model. Have that built out. Don't show the team yet, but just have that conversation very openly of like how they're currently doing their job, and genuinely listen and bake that into your model. What we're talking about here is actually starting with signals. For us, this top row is the most important lever that we can pull to actually make our ABM program effective. For us, we've actually tested pulling these top level signals out for a quarter to see the impact. We saw a massive decrease in demo requests, in hand raisers, in conversion to sales accepted opportunities. Because again, yes, the reps don't have as much relevant outreach to partake in, if you want to call it that. But on top of that, the account as a whole is less likely to convert because you don't have those warm entry points into the account, and you don't have as many people seeing the advertising that are ready to convert, maybe based off of last signal, previous CRM data, closed lost opportunities, or closed lost opportunity contacts. So the 2 programs that I always chat with teams about, customers about, prospects about, is standing up these 2 programs. Your baseline one is going to be the one on the right, the one-to-many program, with a subset of accounts for testing one-to-one. A lot of the times teams are wanting to stand up a one-to-one program, but I don't recommend starting with that as your sole program. At UserGems, we run one-to-one to 500 accounts every single month based off signals, et cetera. But that program took a long time to get the processes down to actually execute at that scale. So dedicate some accounts for that one-to-one. Focus on the one-to-many, but the main goal of this program, yes, you are looking for pipeline, you are looking for close run revenue, but the main goal also is to get that buy-in from the sales team and find out where those opportunities are so you can segment out more accounts for that one-to-one program. For us, we reserve one-to-one for a certain threshold of signals. So for us, we're looking at new hires and promotions in certain quantities in buying roles at your target accounts. We're looking for previous users of your software, product, whatever, in a certain volume that have landed at this account. Website visitors that are de-anonymized at a certain rate that warrant more effort. And that's the thing here is like if you are going to put more effort into a one-to-one program, personalized landing pages, a gifting program, events, webinars, the list goes on, your program can't look like this. And this is what I see over and over again is like you start with an ICP list, or as Jane called out, you have a sales team telling you they want to target a certain list of accounts with no real reason there. I'm sorry, I did see a couple salespeople in on this call, but that happens. Hopefully you at least have a shared context filter, but even this isn't enough. Then you have the account list being pushed into these two channels, if you want to call it that. Most of the time we see ads, and then this most of the time legitimately is this of like good luck sales. Reps are digging through Sales Nav or Zoom Info or anything to like find these relevant contacts. But the odds of your program when it's structured like this actually overlapping the same contacts that are being advertised to, that are being invited to events, that are being outbounded is nearly zero. When you audit these lists, actually, when you structure the program like this, especially when you're running towards enterprise accounts, you're not going to hit the same accounts or the same contacts with ads that you are going to be outbounding. The program needs to look something more like this, where yes, you do start with that ICP persona, front end list, your TAM, whatever it is over there, but you need to pass it through a signal list to filter out the accounts that truly are going to convert at a higher rate. Because we always get the question of like, how does our program target 500 accounts and convert 10 to 15% of them to sales accepted ops? And like the number one reason for that is because every single account has a warm entry point into that account. This applies too on the one-to-many level. The diagram looks almost identical. You're still filtering by all of these signals, but what you're doing is you're pulling one or more of those signals that warrant separate messaging to actually filter these accounts even further and run a one-to-many motion here. And again, this isn't just pushing to ads or display ads or something like that. You have to be focused on the contacts at both the outbound level and the marketing level. Whether this is, again, events, webinars, advertising, anything like that, but focus on the contact level. That's where you will see the results. Going into the outbound piece, I just want to show an example too of like what it looks like for us at UserGems. Obviously for us, this is written automatically for all of our reps. They don't have to do this, but I still, even for non-UserGems customers, this is one of the first things I show them of like, this is what your reps should be thinking about and looking at when they are writing their outbound. This is one of our high tier accounts that warrants one-to-one execution. So again, very, very personalized outbound. Some of those extra touch points if you are running personalized landing pages, if you are doing webinar invites, email for event registrations, things like that. This is what it looks like for us. Shelly, hope you see this. You were one of the top contacts at that account, but it's not only just the one contact out of the account. Like, yes, we are looking at her because she is a closed one-up contact from a previous company. But we're also looking at Danny because he's a closed one-up contact from Procore, and Josh because he was at Pendo, and one person from there was de-anonymized, and we were able to see who that contact was here. They're also hiring in roles that we sell into. And what this allows us to do is actually push messaging that looks like this. Instead of a generic sequence, we're able to say, hey, UserGems at Domo, so we're calling out her previous company, plus 6 colleagues. So we're calling that out. Her relationship, possible familiarity with us back then. But the thing that's really interesting here is we're able to say is, hey, what caught my attention is you've got 6 colleagues at MaintainX who previously used UserGems at other companies, Danny in CS, Josh in sales, Michelle also in sales. That second email, third, fourth email can also incorporate stuff like this where we're saying, hey, Andrew Kim in purchasing looked at UserGems recently. We actually call out from the call transcript why they might not have continued evaluating UserGems, what might have changed here. And it really changes the approach for outbound is that when I select these accounts, I know every single account has a reason to incorporate into the outbound messaging on the rep side. And it changed the dynamic of ABM at UserGems even, where in the past we were selecting accounts based off of fit, ICP, persona, passing it over to sales, but we constantly had this pushback of like, these accounts were like, this isn't a great account here, or this doesn't really have any warm entry points, or like, we can't get these accounts to convert, the quality's low. And that quality is low argument goes away when the rep has all these entry points into these accounts. We don't have that back and forth like we used to anymore. With the last few minutes here, I'm going to take this a step further though, and go into some of the contact-based marketing plays that we're running alongside this. So because we're putting all this effort into, again, ranking these accounts based off of their contacts, what we're also able to do is group the contacts by those signals. So taking those person level signals like, yes, our classic past champions, new hires, promotions, contact level intent instead of account level intent, custom signals like event registrants, attendees, closed lost opportunities, contacts, grouping these so they have an outbound campaign element and they have a LinkedIn ads element. We also are experimenting with Meta and Google Ads here as well, but this allows us to do a lot of advertising like this, where we're showing very relevant messaging to them that feels very one-to-one at the contact level without the effort of, again, or the inability to do a one-to-one at the contact level, where we're able to say, hey, congrats to the new role. You generated a ton of pipeline with UserGems in the past. Let's do it again. Using these ads to actually target them at the person level, grouped in with all the other people with the shared signal. Same with new hires, promotions, contact level intent. So for prospects at ICP accounts that are persona matching, that have researched Clay 2 times in the last week, we'll serve up a lot of advertising like this alongside the outbound to the exact same contact. So we're able to basically manufacture coincidence. And this is huge for how you actually use contact level intent, how you use website de-anonymization. Is don't ever just like jump in and be like, hey, saw you were researching, blah, blah, blah. Stay in front of them, still provide value more than anything. That way you're able to stay in front of them. You might be able to get 4 or 5 impressions on this. Then they see an outbound email that's referencing that exact same signal at the contact level. And it changes how you surround contacts at that level. We're also doing this with a lot of our CRM data as well. So revive, close, lost opportunity contacts. Take it a step further too, though, segmenting them by time, depending on what version of UserGems they demoed. A lot of people evaluated UserGems way back in the day when we were just contact tracking or just a outbound platform, not ABM. And we're able to segment those at the contact level by opportunity contacts and be able to serve up messaging relevant to what they saw in those demos, and kind of serve up what we are now versus what they saw in the past. The last one I'll go over, a lot of people have seen this one. I'm a sucker for it. I love it for, yes, the acceleration of deals, but also the relationship aspect with AEs. A lot of the time, AEs and marketing are very disconnected. So for us, what we're doing is we're actually automating a lot of the outbound multi-threading for our AEs, surfacing that white space within UserGems around that buying contact with the buying group. We split test this for about 8 months across our entire CRM, where we actually advertised to those contacts saying, hey, sales, hey, marketing, hey, RevOps, your team is already talking with us about X. Do you want to join the conversation? We saw higher win rates, bigger deal sizes, more prospects involved in the deals, shorter sales cycles. So this was huge for us. And this is, again, one we run as an always on play. But all of this to say, like, all of these programs that I just went through at the contact-based marketing level are things that we set up once. Hell yeah, spam cannon. We set up once and then kind of let it ride. This is one of those situations where until you have a messaging update or a product update or anything like that, these audiences are forever evergreen, where they're constantly rotating the contacts in and out of these audiences, especially these time-based ones like a past champion where we're only doing 90 days. So we're able to launch this. We run it $15-20 a day max, and we're able to see a massive massive uptick in the outbound rates associated with these campaigns. One of our customers at Docebo, Mark Cosaglo, just did a bit on the outbound portion of these campaigns, and he's seeing like 11 to 16% reply rates on those campaigns running through UserGems around these specific signals. So it's just one of those things where, again, ABM doesn't have to just be marketing. It isn't just advertising and passing a list. Like, they have to be fully orchestrated across sales and marketing. You have to really build that relationship, make sure it's aligned at the contact level. I'm going to open it up. If anybody does have any questions, feel free to ask away, but just kind of wanted to finish off with this is really how we are viewing our go-to-market motion with AI. Of like, we have just nearly infinite amount of data and signals, and like, yet UserGems is providing some of those. We're pulling a lot from CRM. We're pulling call transcripts from Gong. Everybody has their data sources kind of floating around, and there's no real layer to orchestrate all of those signals, data, everything into something that's actionable on the sales and marketing side. A lot of the time you'll see one aspect of this or just within the tool. This is what we're pushing a lot of teams towards because we're seeing so much success with it. Of the human element can only consume so much data and actually make use of so much data, especially on the sales side. If reps are shown 5 signals, a lot of the time they aren't even going to use 1 or 2 of those signals to personalize their outbound because they're having to do that towards hundreds of counts. So being able to orchestrate this and automate some of their role, make their lives a little bit easier, and also make it more relevant for the prospects. So again, like Jane said, it's not a spam cannon. You need to focus on that piece of it in order for this to be effective. So it was a lot of rambling, and I'll get off my high horse now. But I appreciate everybody who attended, that's registered to view this on demand afterwards. If you guys have any questions or want to reach out or want to audit your ABM program, or for me to hop in and just vent, always happy to do that. If you aren't already, connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to chat with you. Happy to chat ABM, marketing, paid, anything like that. But I appreciate it, and we'll hopefully I'll get a chance to talk to y'all soon. I'll see ya.